Hello you lovely people, and welcome. Today we're going to be taking a look at Aeroplane Heaven's de Havilland DHC1 Chipmunk, and well, just to get things kicked off in the aircraft selection screen, we've got two separate categories for the Chipmunk. We've got the civilian version and we've got the military version. Now for some reason that seems odd to me, because pretty much the civilian variants are the military variants, with obviously some exceptions to the rule. But the de Havilland Canada variant for the Royal Canadian Air Force, the T2, has a different mark of Gypsy major engine, and it also has a different canopy, which you'd think there'd be two separate models, and then liveries would obviously do the liveries, but not the case here. If we scroll down and we want to fly the Canadian T2, we have to come into the livery section and come down here. Now the difference between the T10 and the T2, the T10 runs off of the Gypsy Major 8, which is cartridge start, which is the old-fashioned way of sticking basically an explosive into the engine to get the pistons running and fire up the engine. Kicks out a load of black smoke, and if you've seen a English electric Canberra cartridge start, you'll know what I mean. That's the old school way of starting Chipmunks back in the day. Whereas the Canadian T2, it has the Gypsy Major 10, which basically has been converted to have an electric start, which makes life a hell of a lot easier. So the military variant was made up of three different types. There was the de Havilland Canada T2 for the Canadian Air Force. There was the British built de Havilland Chipmunk, the T10, and then there was the Mark 20 for the Portuguese Air Force. 10 of those originally were built by the British side of de Havilland, but then the following 66 were built in-house in Portugal. And then with the civilian version, well, there have been a lot of conversions over the years. There's the Macefield type, Super Chipmunk, Turbo Chipmunk, Aerostructures Sundowner, Sassin Spraymaster, the Super Monk, and the Shoal Super Chipmunk. And a few of these you wouldn't even think were the same aircraft if you've ever looked into this plane. But anyway, that's enough on the different variants. I'm going to choose T10 because that's all I've known during the 80s, living next to Cambridge Airport, and the University Air Squadron flew Chipmunks, and it was a ever-present sound and sight over the house. And funnily enough, our new monarch, King Charles III, learned to fly on the Chipmunk from Cambridge while he was at Cambridge University. He joined the University Air Squadron, and that's where he started his venture down his flying career, if you can call it that. Anyway, that's enough waffling on. I'm going to choose WG407, and we're going to fly my usual route from Cambridge to Duxford. I've had to alter the weather slightly because it's foggy outside, so yeah, I'll be flying in rather more pleasant weather. So let's get in the cockpit and have a look around. So here we are inside the cockpit, having a look around. We've got it's very basic, got the essentials, starting from left to right, RPM, speed in knots, our altitude, clock, our compass, artificial horizon, our vertical velocity indicator, side slip indicator, oil pressure, oil temperature. come down to the left here, we've got taxi lights, nav lights, emergency lights, which is in this case cockpit lighting, identity lights. We have a rheostat here for the night lighting, which is either side in red. Our throttle, mixture, sorry. Our handbrake, parking brake. We don't have battery, so everything is externally powered. So we click that, we get our little GPU, fuel switch, control column, our P8 compass, our flaps, our carb heat, our starter there, and comms. That's it for the front seat really. If we hit this button here, it'll open the side panel so you can have a look at the engine, and we'll do that in a second. If we jump in the back seat, as you can see, everything's pretty much as you were, with the exception down here. If we flick this switch here, we get our extra navigation aids. So we've got ILS indicator there, our CDI pointer, but apart from that, everything's pretty much the same. And we've got a couple more radio stacks here, and the view, being the T10, it's okay, not brilliant obviously because we've got these struts in the way. And as for up front, as you can see, we've got our pilot up front who is part of the show. So if we jump back in the front and we look about, the view is not so bad. If we look behind us, there's a bong-eyed Bob at the back there, one eye looking at you, one looking for you. I don't trust his navigation skills, but he's there anyway. Let's go for external walkabout. So we have our GPU and we've got the cowling open there. If we zoom in a little bit more, you can see the detail of the Gypsy Major. I'm not sure what mark that could be. I know it's supposed to be the Mark 8 for the T10, but I have a funny feeling it's the same engine for both variants. But very nicely detailed there. As for the aircraft itself, I mean, we've got little extras like brake cabling, things like that. Nicely modelled. The textures are very well done. We have a look around a bit more. Move the surfaces about. All good. Yeah, very nice. I've been lucky enough to have the pleasure of flying the Chipmunk, and I can tell you it's absolutely beautiful aircraft, well balanced, and I can see why they call it the poor man's Spitfire. So let's jump back in, let's get it started and get moving. Okay, so we're all started and ready to go. Just show you the example of the emergency lights, which is basically the instrument lighting there, and the rheostat for the night lighting here. I'll show you that in another video, or not another part of the video. So what I'll do, take off, fly up to 2,000 feet, get over the top of Addenbrooke's Hospital, find the M11, do the VFR to Duxford. Once I have Duxford in sight, I will do some manoeuvring, show you how manoeuvrable it is, and then we'll go into to land at Duxford. So yeah, my usual review flight. So let's get going. Take the handbrake off, throttle up slightly, get rolling. So the ground handling in this, F2020, The ground handling in this is very good. It's not overly sensitive, and it's basically rudder steer. There's no caster there at all. So yeah, the ground handling is very simple. Brakes are effective. So let's make our way onto the runway. Should have really waited for the oil temperature to get up to its heat, but as this is just a review video, I will forego that and just get on my merry way. Okay, so a nice gentle throttle up. We're up, no gear to retract, which is nice. Good old Hangar 17 over there, the memories. Okay, so we're going to keep climbing, find Addenbrooke's Hospital, which should be just off my nose to the left, and then we will find the M11. Throttle was nice and responsive. Cambridge train station there, just off my wing. And that's Addenbrooke's Hospital down there. So we want to head over. So that means the M11, there's the train line. That's Trumpington over there. So M11 is just here. And in fact, I can see Duxford, it's just over there, just off my nose. So we're coming close to 2,000 feet. Level out. Okay, and there's the roundabout there for the M11 coming out of Trumpington. So we'll follow that down. And as we're at 2,000 feet already, let's do some manoeuvring. So to get ready for a loop, we need to put it into a gentle nosedive to about 138 knots. Pull back gently on the stick. And there we go, nice slow loop. Like I say, this isn't built with aerobatics in mind, it was built to just train pilots the basics before going on to their more advanced training. I know that if aerobatics are included in the flight, that the hours that you fly have to be tripled to account for fatigue. So it does come at a cost. Okay, so there's Duxford on my nose. We're going to pull out to the left here, decelerate, start bringing the flaps down once we get below 100 knots. And I'm just going to bring it in for a nice gentle turn to the right into Duxford. Once I'm on the ground, I will get into the T2 variant, show you the different cockpit layout and the electric start, and then I think that'll be it for this video. So yeah, let's get this thing on the ground. Okay, so we're close to touchdown, and I'll just highlight that I'm not a qualified pilot. Everything that all the information I pass on is information that I've been given by people who apparently know what they're talking about. So take what I say with a pinch of salt. Oh my Christ, there's an F-22 on the runway. Okay, and we're down. So there we go. So that's the T10 variant. Let's jump in the T2. So back at Cambridge and in the T2, and as you can see, we've got a basic instrument panel in front, but on top we've got all our electrics. We've got battery, generator, nav lights, landing lights, and the all-important starter there. And looking around, everything other than that is exactly the same. The view, on the other hand, is absolutely fantastic in the T2, having a bubble canopy. Let's jump in the back, and here we are in the back in the T2. Everything's pretty much the same, although I've just noticed that the turn slip indicator is now needle and ball, and that's slightly different to the T10. Looking around, yeah, like I say, everything's pretty much as is. Again, no, that's the magneto. If we flick this switch here, we get our nav aids at the top there. So, so yeah, let's just jump back in the front. So yeah, we've got the turn slip indicator in the front is also needle and ball. Nice little General Electric symbol that I've noticed there on the voltmeter. If we look around, Bong Eye Bob has joined us in this one. As you can see, the view is fantastic. We've got three Bulldogs, and an F-22 on the General Aviation grass parking area, which is great. Gotta love MSFS for weird and wonderful things. So what I'll do is I'll do a walk around on this one, so it might be a little bit noisy. As you can see, it's in Royal Canadian Air Force colours, as you'd expect. Again, nicely modelled. And that canopy is just awesome. I don't know why the T10 had such a strange canopy. And there is one more thing I wanted to show you that I've completely forgotten. If we look down to our left here, we've got a random little switch here. If we click that and go back outside, it puts chocks, and it also tethers the wings down to the ground, which is quite a nice little add-on. And we get an RBF cover for the pitot tube there as well. Okay, so I thought I'd just squeeze in the night lighting aspect of it in this part here. So obviously when there are no lights on, you get the flashlight, which can be bloody irritating. But if we come down here to our left, emergency lights, brings on the instrument panel, blah blah blah. Not good for your night vision. Not sure if it has any effect in the sim at all, but flying with white light is not a good idea. So we're going to switch that off, and we're going to turn the good old rear stat up, and there we go. We've got our night lighting, and that will not disrupt any vision outside the cockpit. Now if we jump in the back, with us being in the T2, with that night lighting and unrestricted vision, basically 360, this makes a great night navigation exercise aircraft. Whereas if we now jump into the T10, you can see that, you know, the red obviously doesn't disrupt your night vision, but canopy framing is still there. Don't get me wrong, T10 is still a top-notch night flying navigation trainer, but with that clear canopy on the Canadian variant, there's no contest. So if we jump in the front, the view is not so bad. Obviously we have full field of vision in the front, but yeah, with it being also being a rheostat, you can have it as bright or as dim as you like, so we can dim that right down if we want to, and just enjoy the lights outside. What do you reckon, Billy? Yeah, I thought so too. Anyway, back to me. So I think I've pretty much covered all of that. I mean, obviously if you want to know more on the Chipmunk, Google is your friend. There's also a manual that comes with this aircraft, and I believe it's worth every single penny. Fantastic work on it, and it's a lovely little aircraft for long distance navigation exercises and things like that. So yeah, that is the Aeroplane Heaven DHC1 Chipmunk. So yeah, if you got this far, I appreciate it, and as always, take care, and I will see you in the next one.